All right. Thank you for being here. We're going to start right on time, 8 o'clock. Bright and early. Hi, how are you? Good, good. Okay. So today we are lucky. We have two amazing companies. I come across these companies that actually I didn't know existed, but when you look at it, they're Fortune 500. They do amazing stuff, and this is one of them, Rockwell. So Rockwell is... Okay. Maybe move it once. Okay. Tell us a little bit about Rockwell, Len.
Well, good morning, everyone. So Rockwell Automation is one of the largest automation companies in the world. We're about $6.3 billion in sales. We have about 22,000 employees. We're in 80 countries around the world. What we do is we sell products and services that run factory floors as well as other things.
So Fortune 500 company. So every time I watch the show Unwrapped on Food Network, when they show how things are made, you guys make the stuff that make the stuff we eat, for example, right?
Well, exactly. So what we do is we make products that run factories. So for those who are working in manufacturing areas, it's more than likely you are using our products in your company. We run factories for 113 years.
And you have different areas, right? Integrated architecture, intelligent motor control, and solution and services, right?
Right. So the three cornerstones of our business is integrating our technology within the company's technology on their factory floor. We sell programmable controls that allow us to run the factories, and we also sell solutions and services to all of our customers, part of which we will be demonstrating today.
That's right. And so you are in many, many different industries, right? And I see that one of them is dominating more than the other, right? Half of it.
Yeah, so we're in the heavy industry as, it's a good place for us to, is well positioned for the products that we sell and the service that we sell. The other good area too is like in the consumer space, and one of the things that we do, if you've ever been on vacation with your family at Orlando's Universal Studio and you've ever taken the Spider-Man ride, well, we make the components that make that ride actually work. You know, it's on a track and it ups and downs and it spins and all those other things. Those are our components that we're using to make that ride as enjoyable as it is.
That's right. So if you want to impress your spouse, if you're on the ride, you can say, hey, I know this is done by Rockwell.
Rockwell Automation.
Okay, so let's talk. And then you always need another, but you have an other.
Yeah, we take care of, we service everyone, no matter what line of business they're in. So there's others and there's all others.
others. Okay. So, and let's look a little bit about your team. So the BI Center of Excellence. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. So Rockwell Automation has been around 113 years. We are a very technical company with a lot of engineers. We've been doing some form of business intelligence for the last 50 or 60 years. As a response to our environment, we'll talk about a little bit more when we talk about our challenges. We created the BI Center of Excellence, and it was basically created to begin to do some standardization and stabilization of our data and our analytics to make it more efficient for our businesses to make the decisions they need to make to move our products forward.
That's right.
We believe high quality information equals improved speed and accuracy of decision making. That is our motto.
That's right. So that's your team, and then your role, and maybe there needs a new battery. I don't know. Sometimes there we go. It comes.
So my role, and I've been doing BI at Rockwell for over a decade as part of our SAP implementation. But my current role now is I'm in the BI Center of Excellence as an architect, and my primary responsibilities are on all the front end tools like Power BI, all of the client tools that we use, like Power BI Desktop and the other types of client tools that we use to stand up analytics within our organization. I also do architectural design, front-end tool integrations, and of course responsible for any R&D and prototyping on the front end side.
So you do front end and back end, two things. That's right. And so, company that is that large and complex must bring a lot of challenges. And you are old. You have a no. You're not old. The company is old.
Right.
I said
That's
I did the
debatable
same
too.
thing yesterday. I got to be careful. And you are worldwide as well, right?
Right. So we are a global organization, and of course our challenges is like many of the challenges that a lot of companies face today. We had disparate, disconnected systems. We've grown up over a lot of years with a lot of different systems through acquisition and everything else that we do. There's lack of data integration. SAP is our system of record at Rockwell Automation, but we also have a lot of non-SAP sources around that were not well integrated in the system. We are sort of a risk-averse organization around our data. And so for data and our intellectual property is very important to Rockwell as an organization. And so those are some of the challenges that we had to do to mitigate any risks around exposure of our data, whether it's internally or externally. And of course, there was not a lot around the master data governance. And so those are the things that we worked through as we were, those are our challenges, I should say.
That's right. But let's think a little bit about how you tackle those challenges. Talk to me about a little bit about the solution here.
So our response to our challenges was the creation of the BI Center of Excellence. And early on, and we've only been around 8 months now, early on in our planning stage, we decided that Power BI would be our front-end tool for analytics and dashboarding technology. And of course, there's three major areas in which we use Power BI. One of the areas is really handing it off to our business users for rapid prototyping of things as they want to get quick insights about their data. And of course, we are a huge organization with multiple different data sources all over our enterprise. And of course, being able to connect to diverse data, to bring it together in a harmonized and federated way, and using Power BI as our analytical tool. And of course, big data from the perspective of all the historical data and large volumes of data we have in that space. Plus, we're very into the IoT data, which is the Internet of Things data. We collect sensor information from our products, from our customers, and we think we want to use Power BI to do some of our analytics on top of that. Finally, outside of that window, if I could just take 10 seconds on that, is that...
You can take as much as you want. Take your time. Don't have to rush.
I'll just rush mine.
Yeah, you rush. You can rush. You don't. Stick to that.
So the most important thing, if I can leave with you, analytics is really the front end side of it, but good analytics cannot be done without a lot of investment on the back end on your data sources, a back end on putting metadata around your data sources. And so we're also using another Microsoft product, the Master Data Hub with Microsoft, to help us clean up our master data and then add the metadata around our master data, as well as we're using the Microsoft Data Catalog.
And I must say that as a BI technology specialist from Microsoft working with Rockwell, I have seen Rockwell adopting amazing processes and tools around governance and security. That's #1 priority for them, and Microsoft technology supports all of their requirement in regards to security and governance. And as Len mentioned, through master data management, as well as through Azure Data Catalog, or overall architecture around BI and big data, governance and security is their #1 priority, and we support that fully through our technology.
No, and I just left finance after 22 years, and we couldn't adopt this if we didn't have heavy security. And for us, what we used a lot was connecting to SQL analysis services and having the role-based security carry on to the cloud. If we didn't have that, that's a very good point, Len. So what we're going to show you is something that is on the leading edge, something that they have been working on. Vipul has been working with Rockwell, and I think maybe Vipul, I could describe it, but since you've been working, maybe you can describe it a little bit while we go and we're going to show them.
Sure.
Shall we get going? Go ahead, Vipul. Tell
Absolutely,
us what
yeah. So what we're about to show you is kind of a cutting edge technology from Power BI point of view. It is something that is being announced in past conferences or sessions. It is upcoming, all right? It is a Power BI embedded scenario into your line of business application. And it's not just a publish to web type feature. It is not just anonymous access through your line of business application or public web pages, but it is truly an embedded Power BI, a solution into your line of business application that can be exposed to your customers, to your partners, to your suppliers, where they can fully authenticate and only see the data that they're authorized to see. So the complete scenario here, what you're going to see here, is a line of business application with Power BI embedded with a full authorization, authentication baked into this solution. So it's something phenomenal thing that is coming out very shortly from Power BI team.
So tell us a little bit about the context, you know, the business and who would use that and when.
Sure. So I guess to take a step back, I'm actually work within the business. From a couple slides ago, you saw the services side. So I'm in our customer support and maintenance group. I did try to cheat yesterday, and I tried to attend a couple of the other sessions to really see what they were presenting so I could use that for my own presentation. What I realized is, you know, kind of how we're doing things, or our use case for this is a little bit different. We're not using BI just for our own needs, our own metrics. We're actually looking to provide the data to the customer so that they can make better decisions. So within customer support and maintenance, it's really after product support that we're providing customers. So that's things like remote support, tech connect, repair operations. For this proof of concept, we're really focused on two different offerings that we have for customers, the IBE and our RAMP program offering. So those are both acronyms. We love acronyms at Rockwell, and you can spend your first couple of years just getting to learn them. So the IBE is our installed base evaluation. It's a service we provide for customers who, you know, they don't really know what they have on site. So either because they've had changes over the course of the last 50 years, or maybe they have an aging workforce that's retiring, they lose that visibility to what equipment they have, both Rockwell and competitor equipment. So with the installed base evaluation, it's really a large audit. We'll send a field service engineer on site, and we'll collect what equipment they use. And we'll detail out through the hierarchy of their plant floor, and also go through their storeroom and get an understanding of what they use where and how that's supported within their storeroom as well.
So you do an in-depth inventory.
Correct.
Basically.
Correct.
You go on site and you do that, right?
And the vision from Rockwell is this is more of a historical data of the usage of the equipment that they have it at the factory or at the customer, but then the vision is to have a real-time dashboard where the usage data then trickle through this dashboard and they can take an action in real time. As you can see, as you can saw in yesterday's keynote with the data insight and then action, and then taking an action from that insight. So that's kind of a vision that Rockwell have, and it aligns quite well with what we have to offer from Power BI point of view.
Yeah, and then the second piece is we have our RAMP program offering, Rockwell Automation Asset Management Portfolio. For that program, we usually embed a person on site, and they're helping to manage repair operations. They're tracking assets as they move throughout the plant and as they get sent out for repair. We work with the customer to monitor warranties, but also we're collecting a lot of good data, so we can start to do some reliability efforts in terms of looking to see where they have failures in the plant, how things are being used, and really help the customer with their maintenance repair operations.
So it's probably like if something breaks, it must be a disaster for your customers.
Yeah,
that's why you do like preventative, proactive.
Right. Uptime is usually one of their most important metrics, and we want to help our customers be able to maintain their equipment so they're actually producing, you know, whether it's the cereal you ate this morning or the tires on your car, whatever, you know, they happen to manufacture.
Right. So what do we have here?
So I guess one more point. I guess a couple of the challenges we had. So as I mentioned, two different data sources. One of the challenges we had is to bring those two data sources together so that we could present. Because as a whole, you know, while these were independent in the past, as a whole they come together and they really work better and provide the customer a better visual. The second piece is, you know, in the past we presented data, we gave the customer spreadsheets with the information on it, and that's really not acceptable to our customers anymore going forward. They want to have the ability to log in, interact with the data, and also get updates. So in the past, we present an Excel spreadsheet. The next day, it's outdated because their plant is changing all the time. So this really helped us, you know, as a proof of concept, be able to show that, yes, they can log in, they can touch their data, they can see it, but also take advantage of updates. And then the third, the security piece. So it's important customers are logging in and using this. We need to make sure that they're only able to see their data, and based on their role, maybe just slivers within their particular plant or corporation.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now we'll dive into the demo.
I'm
and
very
pretty,
anxious, you know,
pretty
to play this
graphics.
stuff. That's why.
So for this demo, it's really somebody maybe in corporate engineering or corporate maintenance. They're logging in, and they're really able to see plant-wide or facility-wide what they have. So we have facility 1, facility 2, and facility 3. So that might just be 3 different plants throughout the country or throughout the globe. These top charts really help the customer understand what their life cycle is. So when we talk about life cycle for Rockwell Automation, we're really talking about product obsolescence. So you can see we have active, active mature,
Discontinued?
end of life, and discontinued.
That's right.
So really, you know, when something's active or active mature, it's new product, it's available, you can go out and buy it from our distributors. You don't have to worry. When products start becoming old, we usually put an end of life announcement out there. So that's the yellow piece. So now you can still buy it, but the day's coming where that won't be available.
Right.
And then discontinued, we'll still support it from maybe a repair operation standpoint, but component parts are becoming difficult to get. You can no longer get it from our distributor. So customers need visibility to this information so they can start to manage their plant floor, understand what they have and where they have it. So this really, if I'm the corporate engineer, I can kind of see overall what my risk is here. So I can start to see how many parts I have on my installed base
That's right.
that are now end of life. I need to have a plan on how I'm either going to migrate that or have the appropriate number of spares or something to support the technology going forward. And then the graphs break it down by facility so I can see, plant 1, plant 2, plant 3, where my risk happens to be. And then we continue to go on down the hierarchy. So now I can look into, areas of the plant and get an understanding for where it's being used. So the key goal with this top section is really just to provide visibility to where the customer has risk, where they should start to allocate resources to maintain their equipment.
That's right. And so the facilities here, this would be like, this is more of probably of a newer one, and these are more older ones or something like that, or they build all the equipment. And
Yeah, I mean, every customer is different in terms of their migration schedules and when they update.
we do the same with our software. We have end of life, so
Right.
I can relate to that.
So in the middle, we start to show the customer some information in terms of warranty percentage and mean time between failure. So with our ramp program, since we're tracking when the asset actually gets plugged in onto the plant floor and when it comes off and fails, we're recording that information so we can help the customer get an understanding of how long their parts are actually lasting when it goes in service. So that's also important for planning. If hopefully things are lasting long, but if you start to see trends where things are failing after a short amount of time, that's something they really need to address and see how they're being used and get an understanding of what's going on in that section of the plant.
And that's what's being flashing on top here. As you can see on the top corner, there is a little bell icon. It's constantly telling that there is some notification, some action to take, right?
Right. And we'll get to that in a second. The bottom portion is really a comparison between their installed base and what their storeroom is. So a lot of our customers have large initiatives to reduce the amount of inventory in their storeroom for cost savings purposes. And when they don't have an understanding of what they have on the plant floor versus what they have in the storeroom, that's very difficult to decide, what they can get rid of, scrap out, what they need to use. So this really gives them that visibility. So you can see, active inventory, that's things in their storeroom that actually support the plant floor. Then we have excess inventory. So that's things that we see, maybe they have 30 of these sitting on the shelf. And really, based on their installed base, maybe they really only need 10. The third one is, inactive, yes. It's hard to read these looking backwards. So inactive inventory. So that's inventory that they have in their storeroom that they don't actually even have on the plant floor anymore. So there's really not a good use for that. So that's things they should look to scrap out.
So gray is good. The others, not so much.
Gray's good. Excess they don't have a lot of use for.
Okay.
So then one of the big differences with our proof of concept is, the data's good and having the visibility here is nice to have and it helps you get a baseline for what you have in the plant floor, but our customers want to see updates in terms of what's going on.
I really like how you guys integrated this into, this is what's interesting because an alert like this and bring the Power BI into your own line of business is really, really cool.
Right. So a couple months ago, Rockwell announced, if anyone's familiar with our equipment, that the PLC-5 was end of life. So we'll be discontinuing it in the near future. In terms of the PLC-5, I looked at this last night, but the PLC-5 we launched in 1986. It's We have a very large installed base of that. All our customers use it. You know, they use it, it runs great, rarely has failures. So they haven't changed this out over the years. They can still buy it new. If we compared it to Windows, I think in 1986, people were using DOS 3.0. So when you think about what you're still using DOS for today, in our industry, we have to support our customers for a long time.
That's right. That's right.
And we do it effectively. But now it's reaching the end of life, so we want to understand what my risk is, you know, with this notice that we provided.
So you're going to click on one of them?
Yeah, so we'll just investigate the impact, and now they can really see the information in terms of, because of this change.
It's turning. Is
We
this
got the
you have
dots?
to go to the network?
So this gives kind of a guided tour to the plant manager or to take an action on one of those popping up
And
notifications
you can see it's real.
in regards to the end of life. This particular proof of concept we put together and had demonstrated into Rockwell Automation trade fair with almost 5,000 people attending the trade fair. So it was quite an impressive to walk them through the scenario of how the line of end of life of the equipment and how can they take an action about it.
And you know, it's so secure that if we stay here for a while, we'll try again.
Yeah, that is not the results we were hoping for.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I think we got the gist of it. So, you know, I don't know if we're going to try to log in. So the thing that is interesting is they were able to take what works with Power BI, the interactivity, the visuals, and then integrate them. So, for example, you have those custom messenger. Everything around there is something that is their own line of business with their branding and their name and their title, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So no Chrome of PowerBI.com. As you can see, it's completely their personal website and with logo, and they can.
Don't worry.
It feels like it's their own line of business application, and as a plant manager, they can take an action based on the install-based evaluation matrix that they see on the screen.
Yeah. So. Don't worry. Maybe you have an alert, but it won't work, right? If you click.
Yeah. So basically, what you would have seen had you gotten to that second screen, we tried to help the customer understand, you know, in particular that PLC5. We lead them through with some questions in terms of, you know, again, where it's being used in their plant, so they can understand risk. You know, typically with something as large as the PLC5, you're not going to be able to pull out all your equipment at once. So you probably want to start replacing it at the most critical spots in your plant. So maybe a particular line or an area where if that area shuts down, it would shut down the rest of your plant. So that's where you're going to want to go into and start to make those adjustments to manage the risk on site.
So Vipul, this is becoming available to most people. Can we put Power BI can we embed it? It's something that is...
Yeah, that is something coming out in near future where you can put Power BI into your line of business application and with full authentication authorization scenario. So it is going to be a game changer capability from Power BI point of view.
So maybe we can talk a little bit about your favorite Power BI capabilities. Who wants to go first?
So I think from the business, as I alluded to, you know, combining the different data sources so to quickly deploy this. And again, we have legacy systems that really were not intended to talk and work together. So with Power BI, we've been able to bring those sources together quickly and use them to support each other and providing our customer better information.
And I think from the BI Center of Excellence, one of the great features that we like a lot is the custom visualizations. The fact that it's been released to open source and there are like very, very smart people building these visualizations. It's just phenomenal the things that you can do with just those visualizations.
And obviously the embedded capability. Any questions? So we have can I have a microphone? One of them? Okay. And then I'm gonna. So there's one behind you first. I'll go to the one who. I didn't go to the gym this morning, so this is good.
Thank you. That's really good stuff. So on your proof of concept, there was 9 different visualizations there with a lot of information. Can you talk to? Is that too much information? Like and then how many iterations did you go through? How does the client look at that? I'm just concerned about having too much information to my...
Yeah, I think a lot of it is based on who's going to be accessing and what their role is. So, someone who has the ability to, or has coverage for the entire globe in terms of their operations, they probably need to see a little bit more information. I guess one of the things I'd say is, this proof of concept, we really started in the early versions of Power BI. So with continued features that they release, I do think we can improve things. I know yesterday we kind of saw the drill downs. So the ability to drill down into the actual data set, I think will help alleviate some of those, maybe the visual eyesores that, we had in the past, but with continued improvements, we can present that in a better fashion.
And that's where the investigate impacts thing that was popping up, that's where actually they can go into detail and actually investigate the impact of what particular equipment is failing or end of life. And there is a guided tour with a question answer, and they can go through the scenario of further diagnosing the matrix around the equipment. So that's the whole idea. So,
but your point is, by the way, is very valid. Huh? This is a big struggle. It's a design challenge. What to show and how to show and who is the audience. And some people like tables. So this is really, will be on forever. And figuring out that balance is very hard. Because sometimes we focus on decoration, not always design. That is a challenge that is going to grow and go more. We have one more question, unfortunately, because maybe I'll go quickly to you. Please.
Quick question about that site that you guys were looking at. So that looked like a Power BI dashboard that was embedded in a site that you guys also built out as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that site and what, how does that integrate in with what you're doing with Power BI? What other things are you developing on there?
So the way it's built is, the solution is still hosted at Power BI service in powerbi.com, but it's been embedded through REST API into line of business application. So it is leveraging the REST API, and eventually, once we roll out this actual embedded Power BI capability through platform as a services, then there'll be a guided capability where you can take a piece of Power BI, not only the dashboard, but actual visualization and put it into line of business application. That's the vision that we have, and so that way you can make a completely interactive application. Doesn't look like Power BI. It looks like your own application.
One more question. Go ahead, sir.
You mentioned earlier that you are using Azure Data Catalog, and I assume you're using master data services as master data tool. I think this is a real important thing, and it's good to hear that customers are already using it. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience and what did you do to implement that?
So we're still early on in our journey, and we are looking at both of those technologies as we stand it up. Our BI Center of Excellence has only been around for 8 months, and we're in the process of standing up all of our technology, all of our back-end data sources, all of our front-end technology, and we see the data catalog as being a cornerstone for how we, collect the metadata around our data, how we do harmonization and federalization of our data, because we're going across multiple data sources, and obviously you want to harmonize that data and equalize what it is. So a net value is a net value across all of your systems. So we're still in our early stages. So we have not implemented things yet, but we're still working through that process.
So it's their master data scenario is all around customer master, right? Customer master, they have thousands and thousands of customers across the world from all over the place, and the data entry point about customers may have variety of attribute and all over the place. So that's their challenge, and that's where we are leveraging and putting together a solution leveraging data catalog as well as master data services and overall enterprise information management capability of Microsoft.
All right, so beautiful. So thank you, Rockwell. And now we're going international flavors and fragrance. Did that say it well, Chris?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, international flavors.
So we are transitioning from a big company to another big company that it's one of those companies that, again, people don't know how much they're using, right? Tell us a little bit about IFF.
Yeah, so
have a seat, and we can be comfy. Yes.
Sure. So yeah, just before we start, just a quick show of hands. How many people here have ever heard of international flavors and fragrances, or the flavor and fragrance?
There's one person there.
The flavor and fragrance industry in general, right?
3, 4.
Okay,
wow.
So
they're coming out of it.
So basically not many, right? And that doesn't surprise me. Prior to working here, I've been here 11 years, but prior to coming to IFF, I had never heard of, certainly of IFF, and I also had never heard of the flavor and fragrance industry. Although the irony is, I could pretty much guarantee that everyone in the room today has certainly used products that contain things that we produce. You know, the industry produces, and you know, more likely than not, we're one of the leaders in the industry, so that IFF produces as well. I'm sure most of you took a shower today, and you
Hope so.
shampooed your hair, you used some soap, maybe you put on deodorant or cologne or perfume. All those fragrances and those things typically are made by the flavors and fragrance industry, and oftentimes made by IFF.
That's right. 3 billion sales revenue. It's an old company too.
Yeah. I mean, it's been around 126 years. You know, so it is old, and most people don't know about it. You know, when you brush your teeth and you get the mint flavor, or you go buy French vanilla coffee or hazelnut coffee, you know, you are consuming things that are made by the flavor and fragrance industry, and you know, oftentimes by
IFF.
us, by
Exactly.
IFF. Yeah.
Many countries, 38,000 products.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, our products are ubiquitous, and you know, I want to talk about the one thing, the countries, right? They're located in 33 countries. I just have an interesting tidbit for you guys that hopefully you'll find interesting. You know, we don't have a lot of, we're not a gigantic company like a Rockwell. We have 6,700 employees worldwide, but we do have a wide breadth of countries. And the reason for that primarily is the fact that flavors, particularly flavors, but also fragrances, are very regional. So do me a favor, go when you leave here, just Google search the top potato chip
Bing.
flavors.
Maybe Bing.
Or Bing,
Yeah,
sorry,
that's right.
Bing. Bing search the top potato chip flavors in China. And what you'll see is, you know, hot and sour fish potato chips. You'll see blueberry and cucumber, right? So the point is that flavors vary regionally. So we have to have a presence in many countries so that we can serve our consumers.
Right. No, my wife
well.
is Filipino, so she used fish sauce for breakfast, and I like to have blue cheese, and so those two,
Yep.
I live and breathe to that Asian and French fusion that
Yeah.
doesn't always work. So tell me a little bit about your role.
Yeah, so my role, you know, I'm the director of business analytics there at IFF. So, yeah, I mean, I do all the things you'd expect. You know, I'm responsible for the platform. You know, I'm responsible for having our data be accurate and reliable and timely. You know, I have to make sure that you know we're providing the business with good insight, and also trying to help the business leverage technology, right? Thinking strategically. You know, we start getting into predictive and hey, you know, what can this do for us? Start to strategize with the business on use cases for these sort of things.
That's right, and you have significant challenge because I've learned a lot. I mean, the complexity that goes into each of those flavors is amazing, and that doesn't make it easy for you to give insight on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I could summarize our challenges really. So we started a Power BI journey probably about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, and we really had three big challenges. So we're a single instance SAP BW shop. So you know, we have a lot of data, and we have a pretty robust data warehouse for probably 17 years now. You know, so we have SAP as our main system. We have some ancillary kind of creative systems, and you know, one of the biggest, the first issue I want to talk about is we realized kind of over the past couple of years that we had a hard time engaging senior leaders and executives, you know, kind of non-analyst types with data. And we've really found that visualizations and certainly those kind of things that are presented in Power BI make it much more compelling for non-analysts, and they get much more engaged with the things that we produce. So that was the one big thing. You know, getting to the data visualization stage and getting to the interactive dashboard stage. You know, we saw that the senior leaders of the company and the executives really took to it a lot more than getting things delivered. You know, you can get the same information theoretically in an Excel spreadsheet, right? But when you deliver it in the dashboard in a form like that, people are compelled and they're interested to use it. The second big concern or challenge we had, which is something that is not unique to IFF, it's been in every company I've ever worked, and that is that you know, so as an enterprise IT department, we produce a tremendous amount of enterprise reports, standardized reports for sales, all sort of things. But when you actually go out in the business and you go out to a plant or a facility and you see what's going on and you talk to analysts out there, invariably you find very meaningful analysis being done. I mean, we call it out of the desk drawer, right? These analysts are producing things, typically in Excel, sometimes in Access, and oftentimes they're very valuable, and they're being used to make like localized decisions on certain things. So one of the challenges we had, from my role as director of BI is, I want to get my arms around this. What are these analyses that are going on? Why are they going on? Do some of these things need to be made into enterprise reports? So we want to set up and part of the reason for our journey is to set up a self-service platform. Because I personally don't think that self-service, is ever going to go away. I mean, in every company I've ever worked at, you always have these analysts that are doing their own thing. And so what our strategy was to give them a robust platform in Power BI to do their own thing. And now it's also, the benefit is it's out of the desk drawer. It's now centralized.
That's right.
So other people can see it.
Those analysts,
yeah.
That was one of them, so I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, and some of the things you see, right? You see when you start to see, when you pull these things out, you start to see, certain regions do it one way, another region does another way. Maybe the other region is not doing it right. So it sparks discussion, and overall you get a better, you get better insight to what's going on.
So then you have one last one, right? Before we do the demo, or you had 3 points, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, those are the main ones. I mean, the self-service one was
Okay.
the other one.
And so here you talked a little bit about the standardization, the visibility.
Yeah.
So you made a lot of those points. Maybe we can show the audience a little bit, because I'm anxious to see. Your stuff is really cool. What you have to remember, maybe you can come, is that this is what's fascinating about this. Every flavor has hundreds of commodities. And when thousands of, and when one of them change, the currency fluctuation, inflation, or any of the prices, they have to reflect that quickly into their price. Otherwise, they're going to lose money. And this is what really you have faced every day, is that mint flavor is made up of 100 things. And if one big thing change and you don't adjust your price quickly, you reflect that, then you're going to lose your shirt.
Yeah. I mean, so it's important, right? So yeah, what Mark said is true, right? So like any any manufacturing company, obviously, this is also not really unique to IFF, although some parts of it are. But everyone has to try and manage their margins, right? Understand what their customer prices need to be. And IFF has a couple interesting things. So we're international, right? So we're in 33 countries, and at the end of the day, we make a finished good that's made up of ingredients. Now, to Mark's point, some of our formulas might have hundreds of ingredients. When you couple that with the fact that we can procure those ingredients in 33 different countries, in different currencies, what really happens here is you have to factor in not only the cost of the raw material, right? You have currency foreign exchange fluctuations, and you have the inflation of the currency itself. So I don't want to make this a finance lesson, but those three factors drive our costs, and of course then drive our pricing and ultimately affect our margins.
That's a business. That's if an international business with that. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah. So we have a tool like this to help us bring visibility to these things. And again, every company I've been in has this sort of thing. Oftentimes it's done in Excel or something, some kind of spreadsheet. This is what I want to show you. And actually, by the way, there's a little surprise in here. So I don't want to tease you a little bit. There's a little surprise in here. So this is not just a typical Power BI dashboard, although I will start out showing you some of the things. Some of these graphs up here, I particularly like this one. This one shows the sales by region. Again, these numbers are totally fictitious, but just shows sales by region. It also shows the lighting from red to yellow to green. So you could show we have a little problem in Asia where our costs are up 13.7%, right, the total impact. And that 13.7% is a combination of the raw materials going up in price, the currency exchange of the Chinese renminbi to the dollar, as well potentially the inflation of the.
So here, currency seems to have a big impact here.
Yeah. So you can see clearly, right, in Asia, currency is our main driver here.
That's right.
So currency is our main driver. So you get a lot of insight from this.
And then it's interactive. If you click on anything.
Yeah, certainly. So this is all the standard.
That's right.
The standard.
And I like the way you slice, where you don't see necessarily things in context. You use the edit interaction.
Yes.
To make sure that you see things like a true filter. So when you click on that, that's like a filter. And that saves you real estate.
Yes.
I think the gentleman earlier talked about real estate. I use that a lot to save real estate. Instead of putting filters, you can use that as real estate.
Yep.
So you probably like this one a bit better because there's less stuff. But everything has a different purpose, basically. Sometimes you want to have an overview.
Yep. And quickly down here in this bottom graph, you could see this one by customer. So you can see here our major customers, we're doing pretty okay with our margins. You see some craziness going on with some of our smaller customers, so you could see some of these customers based on the state of affairs right now.
Exactly, and then you go to one, and then you get so you know which raw material you got to watch.
Yeah, we say, yeah, so we have a whole procurement group dedicated to raw materials, so they immediately know, okay, well, we have a real problem with this. There's a huge impact with this material right here.
That's right.
Okay. But now, this is a surprise that I'm going to show you. So it's something I don't see typically here, or I haven't, but this is something that is really powerful in Power BI, and this is really the what if functionality, right? So we mentioned that we really have three drivers. We have the inflation of the currency, we have the exchange rates of currency, and we have the raw material input costs that affect our costs and ultimately our gross margin, and ultimately help us determine what our prices need to be. So what we've put in here is actually an ability to go in and to adjust these things, right? And we can.
So is it 3 or 0.3 you want?
What's that?
You wanted 3 or 0.3?
I'm going to make it dramatic. So this is a little bit unrealistic, but still, I want to show you the point of this, right? So someone from finance will come in and say, you know what, we think that the dollar's going up 300% against the renminbi. You know, it's crazy, but the idea is you keep this table maintained to what's going on in real life and what you think is going to happen to your currencies.
That's right. And this is actually amazing because I have a person in my team, Jeff Lumpkin, who uses this a lot, and I don't realize the power that you can use Power BI as a modeling tool if you enter the data and then have sophisticated formula that take those variables into account. You just have to change them. And so what happened here?
Yep. So I just made a couple changes. You know, again, I just kind of
close and apply.
I just kind of did it at random. I hit
so
close
here we
apply.
have 55%.
Well, that's on the one customer. So yeah, so I'm sorry, I should probably take it off this customer. So
14.89.
So that customer went down dramatically. Well, I actually unfiltered the customer. So you can see now. Actually, let me just do it again just to show you guys for clarity, right? So you go in here to edit queries, right? And the point I'm trying to make is you can make very robust what-if analyses with Power BI when you use input templates to drive, if you know what your drivers are, right? So again,
you build an equation with the DAX formula that integrates those variables, and you can change those variables and see the impact.
Absolutely, yeah. So like I said, a lot of this stuff, you know, can be done in Excel, but it's also the important thing is it can be done in DAX
right.
here.
No, I like this because this is what point I made yesterday. When we used to do things, you put it in Excel, you put it somewhere, you refresh, you run a query. This is instant. There's instant gratification. For those of you who have dealt with a lot of those tools, you know, you load something in SharePoint, you refresh, and you see the impact. You change, you close and apply, and then the front end change right away.
Yeah.
So here you are changing most stuff.
I'm changing.
You're
yeah,
out of
I mean,
control, huh?
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna go out of control here. I'm just gonna change some of these raw materials, right? So remember we had the three things. I'll just say these are going up a bit, right? So what happens? So we hit OK, and now keep in mind, people in procurement, they're following those materials and they're changing things. Yeah, you immediately see the impact, and I say, oh my gosh, what's going on? Asia's still getting hammered. You know, I see right away what's going on and what materials are happening and what the effect is on our customer. So to me, I mean,
this case study was very interesting for me because I use things more as descriptive, but you really. And that's because your business cases, you have this very complex output that changes often. You can upload a table or refresh a table that has all this data updated. So you can do the automatic updates. But you have the ability to manually enter and do what-if analysis in Power BI as well.
Yeah, I mean, practically speaking, those tables typically are, you know, especially if you consider the material tables, there's several people in procurement that are responsible for certain sectors of materials, so they keep those things updated. But the point is, right, and you know, a lot of the stuff, you know, I've gotten some questions, well, yeah, we can do that in Excel, which I agree. You can do this kind of thing in Excel, but it's very nice to have these calculations in Power BI and have this interface, because what you can't do in Excel is, if I'm running to my customer to discuss price increases, I can look on my phone. Yeah. I can say, oh, our margins are this, right? Or you can email me a spreadsheet and I can try and open it on my phone and figure it out, right? This is a much better way to share and consume that kind of insight than through Excel.
Show us one of your formulas, because you had like a formula that was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple. Oops, we have a couple of formulas that are kind of nuts. I mean, and again, you know, the one thing I'll say though, as crazy as the formulas are, let me just see down here.
I saw that the sophistication. I was blown away by some of the ways you calculate stuff, and it's okay if you don't have it.
No, I do. No, I do. Yeah, but I don't know. Let me just see here.
And so if you enter data, you just can. Okay, so you can look at here.
Yeah.
That's right. And the way to enter data, it's at the front. He showed you it earlier. You just click enter data here, and then you create your own table. You don't have to feed it from Excel. You can create the data straight into Power BI.
Yeah, actually, probably, let me just see.
That's okay, don't worry. I think you show it from here.
I show it from here.
If you
It's over here.
double click on home.
If I open this up, this is what I'll show.
And I think you got to open from home.
It's right here. So here's some of the DAX kind of formula stuff that we need to do. You know, so that's sort of, you know, showing kind of the complexity behind this. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's been hugely beneficial as just a way to do robust what-if analysis, and Power BI has been a great way for people to consume this. They get engaged with it.
So let's talk a little bit about the things you like, and then we'll take a question or two. So what are your favorite capabilities? And I'm going to maximize that. We can go back and sit there.
Yeah, sure. So I have them listed out here. So from my perspective, you know, we've been on this journey for a while, and what I really like, especially as of late, is the regular updates. You know, I like the fact that they use the crowdsourcing methodology so that kind of collectively what the customers want gets done. Certainly the visuals and functionality I think is great. Like I said, I like you know, and they're getting better and better, which is great. The other products, especially lately, has been improving a lot. We really have had some great success with it as a self-service platform. You know, I was very excited to see at the keynote that security is coming out, because that was really key for us. You know, prior to security, it was really limited to our execs that have global access to a lot of stuff. So I was thrilled when I saw security coming out in app.powerbi.com. And then, of course, the ability to publish, right? The ability to publish to your phone, you know, and get stuff on the go is especially beneficial. You know, KPIs, metrics. You know, a lot of our execs are traveling all the time. You know, it's very hard if you email them spreadsheets and that sort of thing. They much rather get the stuff on their phone.
So I think we had a question from the gentleman on the right. Go ahead.
Yes, you mentioned earlier that you're using SAP BW as an underlying data warehouse system.
Yep.
Do you have already experience with Power BI on top of SAP BW? How do you connect?
Yeah, so a lot better lately now that they've announced the BEX connector. But yeah, so that's been a frustration, right? So we have had to go through kind of an intermediary step of pulling data out, pulling it down, either for ad hoc things, pull it into Excel. And you know, a lot of our users do that. They'll run BW queries or run stuff in Excel and then visualize it and share it through Power BI. But yeah, certainly that's not been ideal up until this point, right? So now with the BEX connector being announced, that's certainly one of the things, you know, that my company has been waiting for, because that back-end connectivity to SAP prior to this release really wasn't there. So there's some manual gyration. So yeah, it wasn't. I mean, the funny thing was it wasn't pretty on the back end, but we got such a positive response from the end users. I mean, you know, the execs don't really care that we're jumping through hoops kind of to some degree to get some of the data going.
And just to add to this, so Microsoft will use SAP as well, and so we chose to export it into a data mart. So if we don't have that issue, then we have things dynamics. So we take all of that. But I think now that you can connect to HANA, it's already done, and then BW, I think it's going to make things easier.
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge for SAP.
And our goal is to really make it easy to connect wherever your data is, obviously. I was personally very impressed. I never thought of doing modeling in Power BI. And that function, that little thing that says enter data, it's actually very nifty, because you can actually do what if very, very, very effectively, especially if you can master DAX. And just remember, we're talking about things that will keep IFF profitable. So because, you know, if things change, one of the parts change, you got to be able to adjust quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things I'll say about the DAX too is that, you know, I guess I was pleasantly surprised that a lot of our Excel analysts picked up DAX very quickly. A lot of the DAX that was in that you know, that model, and we have some more complex ones, is written by folks, you know, analysts in the business.
That's right.
That are Excel pros.
When you see some of the spreadsheets with lookup, VLOOKUP, you understand what. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Let me just throw in. There you go. Go ahead.
Thank you. I work for Westbrook Floral, and like you, in many countries, and source flowers from many different places and affected by currencies and all that. And I'm very impressed by the way you've put solutions together for management to be able to get insight. My question is, with regards to your experience, one of the things I'm thinking of doing as a result of what I've seen yesterday and learned about BI is to use BI as a tool to have historical data available at the instant. So we're using Dynamics, and so I'm putting a sales order into Dynamics, and I'm thinking that I could have BI dynamically
Of course.
pulling historical information on that customer.
Did you see the content packs that were released for Dynamics? I mean, again, that's something we also have Dynamics.
Not yet. I'd like if
Yeah.
maybe we can talk about that after the
Yeah,
session.
well, if I talk with this guy, I mean, I've seen it. I'm not an expert in Dynamics, although I have seen the content packs for Dynamics, for Microsoft Dynamics CRM. That's one of the services they're providing in app.powerbi.com now. So what that basically does, as far as I understand, is it bridges, it basically builds you a model that takes the data out of CRM, and then you can then build on top of that dashboards.
That's very exciting. That
yeah,
would be very
I
powerful.
think it's Mark is probably going to.
Yeah, so here
find it
you
for
have
here.
all the connectors. So you just click on, if you have Dynamics CRM online or whatever Dynamics you have, all you have to enter is, I think, your user ID or your server, and you have something that comes out of the box. So this notion of content packed is, yesterday we had PlanView, we shared 3 of them. It's super powerful because it's not only you connect to it, but then you have the ability to change and edit those because you don't start from a blank page. Okay, so we are out of time. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for our guest, IFF and Rockwell. Thank you so much. Thank you.